What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Gooner channel, a channel 100% dedicated to the Arsenal, who, as we all know, are by far the greatest team the world has ever seen. And it's the night before our trip to Villa. Anyone who watched Aston Villa take Manchester City apart on Wednesday night and win a thoroughly deserved 1-0 victory over what looked like the most average Manchester City side we've seen in 3 or 4 years will feel like this is going to be a huge challenge. Not least because that was their 14th win at home in a row, not counting the League Cup, but their 14th Premier League win in a row, and it took them above Manchester City into third and only 4 points behind Arsenal. So, is our trip to Villa one we should hope to get a point from, but actually be prepared to lose? Well, I'm not convinced. And I'm going to go over some of the reasons why I think that we have a very good chance of taking all 3 points. There are some big talking points around this game beyond just the form of Aston Villa and the fact that Arsenal had to rely on a last gasp winner to beat Luton, one that we celebrated apparently too much. And rightly so, I think, because that game could so easily have been 1 point and would have left the complexion of the Premier League completely different. As it is, it's most likely that Liverpool will beat Crystal Palace in the early kickoff, another early kickoff for Liverpool. And when they do that, they will go above us. So if we don't get a win or a draw against Aston Villa, we're not going to be top of the table anymore. And I, for one, absolutely love being top of the table, so I hope that's not the case. It shows you how far Aston Villa have come. For many people, they are becoming favourites to be the dark. For many people, they're starting to be dark horses for the Premier League. I know a lot of us felt that they bought really well in summer. Their calendar year so far has been outstanding, almost as good as Arsenal's. And, well, there's no reason why they couldn't go on and win the league, except that they probably face the same problems we had last season. And on that, people have been saying, and notably Tony Adams, who does have a habit for saying things which are controversial and almost clickbaity, but his comment was that if Unai Emery had been in charge of Arsenal last season, we would have gone on to win the Premier League title. Now, I think that's hugely out of context. I think what he was trying to say in the tenet of the overall conversation that he was having was that the reason we didn't win it last season is we had an inexperienced manager and an inexperienced team. But I want to say something on this, because anyone who thinks that Unai Emery would have been a better manager to be in charge of that team last season is overlooking some key facts. As Arsenal manager, we didn't sack him just for fun. We sacked him because, well, his last game in charge, at Frankfurt game, half-empty stadium, players who didn't seem to care. We didn't have any leaders. We didn't have any motivation. We had players like Mustafi. We had players that just did not deserve to wear the Arsenal shirt. And it's telling that there are so few of them left. Arteta has done more than just get us into a position to win the title and throw it away. He has built a team and has developed a team over the years he's been in charge that is at the top of the table again, that spent the most days at the top of the table last season. And yes, we did have an inexperienced side and they threw it away towards the end of the season against a Man City juggernaut. One that may reappear this season. I think that, you know, it's worth saying that Manchester City were probably as poor as Villa were good. And that might be one of the reasons Villa did win. But I want to leave Manchester City out of this. There'll be plenty of time to talk about it. I think that there are some things that the statistics are not showing you about Aston Villa's 14-game winning streak. But before I get into those statistics, it is also worth saying, look, confidence is everything. A team that believes it can win, can win. I hope that we go there with similar confidence and that two great sides take each other on and play each other. I don't think beating us will be as easy as beating Manchester City was. So what are the other things to talk about in this game? Well, look, we as Arsenal fans, I'm sure we're all absolutely sick of talking about a goalkeeper situation, but you do have to talk about it. Another thing that's come out has been, you know, obviously the choice between Raya and Ramsdale, but also pointing out that Emi Martinez, who's now won a World Cup, is in the goal opposite. And is he a better keeper than either of those two? Well, I think that I can squash that quite quickly. And I know there are more than a few of you who think lies, damn lies statistics when it comes to this sort of thing. Raya has kept 4 clean sheets and Martinez only 2. Villa have conceded 20 goals and we've only conceded 14. And had it not been for those 3 games against Luton. Anyway, Aston Villa have lost 3 times this season, and if you think back to the Nottingham Forest game, well, Martinez didn't look like such a great keeper then. Personally speaking, I do think that Raya and Ramsdale are both an upgrade. But as to which one should start, this one has kind of divided the fan base from Mikel Arteta. I think most of us, if you asked us who we think he will play, would say David Raya stays in goal. But honestly, if it was me, I would be putting Ramsdale in. And there's a couple of reasons for that. But maybe the Villa game isn't actually the right game to see the best of Ramsdale, because they're not exactly going to be whipping balls in for crosses and scoring many headers. So there is a chance that we could do better with Raya and his distribution and the quick release distribution that might set up chances against an Aston Villa who do play quite a high line. Irrespective of which one of those starts, I think if you start comparing the defence versus defence, we know how we're going to line up tomorrow. And there is an issue here for the rest of the season, which I want to talk about in other videos, not necessarily now. But we have recently lost Tomiyasu to what looks like a 4 or 5 week injury, which means actually our options are starting to dwindle a little bit. Ben White will have to come back in. Zinchenko will have to play left back. And with Gabriel and Saliba, look, their first choice, whatever happens. But after that, it really is only Jacob Kivior that can come in. And he hasn't really looked that great. There's been speculation he might be leaving. I don't know how true that is. But certainly our back four. And look, you can say what you like about Zinchenko doesn't defend all that well. But he has improved his defense. He has improved the defensive side of his game this season. And I, for one, feel really confident with him in there. So that back four kind of picks itself. If you've got Raya and that back four, the midfield for me is going to be an important area, because where Villa have looked really good this season, and I think their standout player actually has been McGinn. He has been instrumental in scoring goals and assisting goals, and he's got the kind of energy and confidence at the moment I think could do us some damage. So I think this battle is going to be fought and won in the midfield, as it should be between two great teams. And my lineup for that would be Odegaard, who's found some form again and started finding that zone 14. Great performances from him since he came back from his injury. Declan Rice, Rolls-Royce, most expensive bargain of all time. Brilliant player. Brilliant player. He's obviously going to be in there at the number 6. And for me, I know, look, it's a bit threadbare because Fabio Vieira is injured and suspended and not very good. Emil Smith-Rowe isn't quite returned from injury yet. Thomas Partey obviously is Thomas Partey. But this is a game for Kai Havertz, and there's a really good reason why. Whatever you think of Aston Villa's performances this season so far, they have been a little bit leaky. They have lost 3 games, and the defensive partnership of Carlos and Pau Torres, neither of those two win their aerial duels. So from set pieces and having a player like Kai Havertz in there with his aerial ability, at least to set up other players and at least have somebody to aim for in there, could make all the difference tomorrow. The reality is, I also think that Martinelli wide on the left and Saka on the right are going to be instrumental in this game, because Villa will not likely sit back in a low block and try and defend against us, which we've seen against teams that come and try and play against Arsenal. They can be punished for it. We are one of the best transitioning sides in European football right now, and that could really play for us. I think that when I look at Luca Digne and Konsa at left and right, I think there are real opportunities there, certainly to stretch the play. And if we've got Jesus doing what he can do, then there's definitely a goal or 2 in this. And as for Villa, yes, Watkins is on a rich vein of form. He scored 8 goals, but they're not popping goals in for fun. And they do tend to score a lot of goals against teams. They had a fantastic result against Brighton where they scored 6. But when you look at who Villa have actually scored most of the games and the kind of teams they've played at home, it's not that impressive yet. Looking at this perfect home record, they've beaten Everton, Crystal Palace. They lost to Everton in the League Cup at home, which is worth pointing out, although it wasn't their first 11. They beat Brighton, West Ham, Luton, Fulham, and of course the game against City, where City didn't look that great. But as you can see from that list, that isn't the most incredible run when you think they probably should have been beating those teams. They face a completely different challenge against Arsenal, because against those teams you can slightly dominate and you probably don't need to score that many goals. But they have been scoring goals against the weaker defences. They're up against, I think, the best defence in the Premier League tomorrow. And I hope we don't have another situation where somebody gives away a goal. And if we can avoid the kind of mistakes that David Raya made or that Zinchenko made in, giving away a goal at Wolves, then I think they're going to really struggle to beat us. And the further they push forward to attack us, the wider open they are at the back. I think there's goals in this game. Overall, I'd be lying if I said I was very confident, because as an Arsenal fan, we all know this. We have the occasional game, Lens away, Everton last year, and there's a few where we just don't seem to turn up. But I think the last gasp winner has galvanised us. I think that seeing City not at the races and seeing this as an opportunity to move further ahead of them could be enough to galvanise us. I said this before the Luton game. I just want a 1-0 victory. 1-0 to the Arsenal. Hasn't got to be exciting, hasn't got to be last minute, but we do need to win it. I'm confident. As I run through the lineups, I think we are looking at Jesus, Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard, Havertz and Declan Rice with a back four that, unfortunately, because we didn't strengthen, we did strengthen our defence in summer. Unfortunately, Timber's injury, Tomiyasu's injury now. I don't know how you feel about this either. Is Tomiyasu injury prone, or is he just really unlucky? Is Jakub Kivior the kind of player that you think we should just let go? I would imagine we must be looking to strengthen our defence in January, but it's never as easy as that to go out and buy players ready. Tomorrow night's game against Aston Villa, I'm going to stick my neck on the line and say that we win this one 2-1. I have absolutely no idea. For all I know, it could be a 3-3 thriller. It could be 2-0 to them. I hope we don't see a VAR intervention. I'm saying that before every game at the moment. I hope that it's a fair, even contest and that the better team wins on the day. But apart from anything, I'm celebrating my birthday. Got a family coming around tomorrow, and I would just love it if this could be a big win for the Arsenal. A statement win, similar to the Villa Man City statement win for them. Something that tells Liverpool they're really going to have to pull it out of the bag, because they don't look great at the moment. And they're going to be playing tomorrow against the Palace team that can cause an upset. And they're going to have a second choice keeper. Anyway, let me know what you think. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, note of warning, we're on 664. So if you're the next one to subscribe, that's fine. But after that, you're 666. I don't know how superstitious any of you are. I know I'm not, right? So hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet. It's the Christmas season. Come on! And if you like this video and you click like, then somebody else who might like this video may get to see it. Love to know what you think in the comments. I've been getting some fantastic comments and I try and reply to each and every one. So thank you if you've already commented. Let me know what you think the score is going to be, who you would be playing out of Ramsdale and Raya, and whether you think that Villa under Emery last season would have won the league title. I don't think. If you think that, let's have a debate. I invite you to come on and have a debate. Anyway, till I see you again, be lucky and lots of love.